Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if this is your first time here, hi, how are you? My name is Eleftheria and I am an app developer and UX UI enthusiast, so this video is going to be all about UX designers. Without further ado, let's get started. If you're just starting out as a UX designer and you find yourself grumbling, I've got some advice for you. In this video, I'll share 5 key tips for new UX designers. Number 1. Seek for a mentor. Whether you're just starting to learn UX design or you are in your first UX job, mentorship is essential. Your success in the industry. As user experience designers, we rely heavily on feedback from others to improve our designs and make them better to the end user. A good mentor will provide you with a valuable critique of your work and help you to get unstuck when projects becomes confusing or overwhelming, and trust me, they will. If you're lucky, your mentor will also be someone who inspires you by sharing their latest projects and taking you through their processes. Above all, you will have the chance to talk through all the questions and frustration you face as you progress in your new career path. Ultimately, mentorship is your doorway to rapid and continuous growth as a designer. So, you want a mentor, but where to find one? Well, the idea of going out and finding a mentor might seem impossible, especially if you haven't yet built up a solid industry network. But here are some ways. First of all, networking. UX is all about human interaction, and building your professional network from day one is a surefire way of meeting many approachable design professionals who are happy to give you feedback and pass on their wisdom. Attend meetups in your local area, invite your UX design colleagues out for coffee, and join relevant Slack groups and channels. Secondly, find your design heroes and reach out to them. If you're active on social media and professional platforms like LinkedIn, why not reach out to people you admire? It can be as simple as saying hello with a brief introduction and your reason for reaching out. Always be polite on that. So the tip here is that build up your design portfolio. One of the toughest aspects of being new to UX design is a lack of real-world experience. When it comes to finding your first UX job, this can be especially frustrating. Employers insist on previous experience, but you're brand new to the field. How are you supposed to convince them of your ability? This is where your portfolio comes in. Your portfolio provides you with an opportunity to showcase who you are as a designer and tell your unique story. What makes you a great UX designer? Why did you choose to work in this field? Above all, it invites employers to see how you approach design. Employers want to see your process and understand how you think as a designer, so use your portfolio to take them on a journey. Not having a lot of experience doesn't need to be a disadvantage. The trick is to compose a cohesive, compelling narrative. UX design is all about storytelling after all. Try linking your past experiences to your new career path. You will find that many of your existing skills are transferable to UX, so highlight relevant connections when telling your story. So, you want to build up your portfolio, but you ask how? It's not about where you've worked, but rather than how you've taken your newfound design skills and applied them to real projects. Here are some ways you can build up your portfolio. Let's get started. A. Redesign an existing website or mobile app. Redesigns are an excellent way to showcase your design process to potential employers. Pick an existing, fairly well known product and set yourself the task of redesigning it. B. Search for real-world projects. This will become the most valuable piece in your UX design portfolio. Search online for volunteer projects, approach small charities or businesses, and tell them that you want to be something for them. If there is anything UX related you can help, you should do it. Even though many of these projects will be unpaid, they will look great in your portfolio. Check out websites like Donate Coder for volunteer projects. C. Become a content creator. The more you learn about the UX industry, the more you'll realize how important it is to build a personal brand. Start blogging, publishing videos, or showcasing your design journey on social media. Even when speaking from a beginner's perspective, this will show your passion for design and add a unique dimension to your portfolio. Number 4. Apply UX to your current job. Practice makes perfect, so look for opportunities to apply UX principles and processes in your current job. Working in a coffee shop? Ask people coming in or out for a few minutes of feedback in exchange for a free coffee. Find it difficult to find files on your company's Google Drive? Meet with different teams, conduct user interviews, and create new information architecture so their documents are easier to find and access. UX can be applied absolutely in everything, so use your surroundings to your advantage. And now let's go to tip number 3, which is overcoming perfectionism. When just starting out in UX design, it's easy to get lost in the details. Perfectionism not only leads to self-doubt, it also makes it incredibly difficult to reach your goals. Having high standards in your UX design practice is obviously a good thing, and striving for perfection can show your passion for creating seamless user experiences. However, design is never finished, so don't get stuck on designing something perfect. So, in fact, perfectionism isn't exclusive to new designers. Many designers and their teams put too much time and energy into designing products that they believe to be perfect without even consulting with a real user. So never do that. You want to overcome perfectionism, but you may ask, how? Here are some techniques that I found to be really helpful and A. Set deadlines and prioritize. Break your main goal into smaller, more achievable goals. Prioritize and set deadlines for these small goals. This will stop you from dwelling on the aspect for too long. Secondly, ask for help. Excessive perfectionism can leave you feeling stuck, but sometimes it's enough to ask your mentor or colleague for another pair of eyes. Having another person examine or critique your work can help you to gain a fresh perspective and pick up the momentum you need to move on. Third, ship it out and get feedback. When in doubt, the best thing you can do is just to put something out there. Design is an iterative process, and the only way to create a better experience for the user is to test, and test again. So let's go to tip number 4, which is fight imposter syndrome. Do you have a tendency to feel self-conscious? Perhaps you find yourself doubting your abilities and accomplishments as a UX designer. If so, you might be experiencing imposter syndrome. Now, imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern of behavior which causes you to doubt your achievements and experience a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. Let's be honest, everyone feels it at some point in their career, especially at the very beginning of it. Perhaps the most limiting part of dealing with the syndrome is that it can inhibit your courage to pursue new exciting opportunities. In extreme cases, it can cause stress and even depression. But don't worry, imposter syndrome isn't an actual psychological disaster, and it's in your own power to beat it. So, let's see how you can beat the imposter syndrome. My first tip, so first of all, don't let the term imposter syndrome intimidate you. Once you know what it is and can recognize the signs, there are plenty of positive steps you can take to silence that voice of doubt. If you are experiencing imposter syndrome, bear the following in mind, okay? A. You are not alone. The first step to overcoming imposter syndrome is to realize that you're not alone. Okay. Then, secondly, remind yourself of all your accomplishments and training. You've put hundreds of hours into learning new skills that have gotten you to this point. So take some time to recognize what you've achieved so far. A little self-praise can go a long way if you're feeling uncertain. Thirdly, tell yourself, I belong here. A big part of imposter syndrome is feeling like you don't belong or that you haven't learned your place in the world of UX design. Of course, there are people who have been in the industry longer than you, but that doesn't mean you are a fraud. No. Fourthly, label it. Sometimes just labeling your thoughts with diffuse the fraud feeling. Once I knew that imposter syndrome was a thing, it became easier to tackle. So when you start feeling anxious, recognize those negative thoughts for what they are and continue on your way. Now, my fifth and last tip is never stop honoring and empathy your skills. You've no doubt heard of it a million times before, but I can't emphasize enough just how important empathy is to your work as a designer. So, you want to become a more empathetic designer? But you may ask how? Here are my tips. When just starting out in UX design, you'll hear the term empathy a lot. In the beginning, it can feel rather abstract. You know what it is, but how can you actually become more empathetic and get better at putting yourself in your user's shoes? The good news is that empathy can be learned. Here is how. So my first tip would be to research and yet again research. Every successful design project is based on user research. Time and budget constraints may tempt you to skip the research phase, but you'll find yourself designing without empathy if you do so. Spend time with your users and find out as much as you can about them in relation to the product you are designing. My second tip would be to practice empathy in your everyday life. Even when you're not designing, you can make an effort to be more empathetic. Observe those around you and imagine how they might be feeling when chatting with friends and family. So really try to picture yourself in their position. Did you know that mirroring another person's facial expressions can help you to feel what they are feeling? When interacting with others, try to mimicking their facial expressions as a way of building empathy. Of course, don't overdo it. Thirdly, familiarize yourself with key empathy building techniques. There are lots of useful strategies and techniques you can incorporate into the design process that will help you to build empathy. Take the time to familiarize yourself with key concepts such as extreme users and empathy maps and a visualization tool you can use to analyze your personas. To wrap up, whether you've just started learning the fundamentals of UX or are getting ready to start your first job in the field, these tips will hopefully help you to become a better and more confident UX designers. Remember, you are not alone. Everyone starts from somewhere. All of those seasoned UX designers who you admire from after have been in your position. So keep learning, asking questions, and seeking feedback. That's what UX is all about. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you like this content, please leave a comment below and I will try to create more videos like that. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching. Have an amazing, beautiful day, and see you really soon.